Every consumer, in order to protect themselves from identity theft, should be doing a couple of things. Look at your bank statements from your bank. Just go through each month, or at a minimum every couple of months, and look at the transactions to see if you recognize all of them and if in fact you authorize all of those transactions. In terms of your credit report, I'd recommend signing up for a credit monitoring service so you can get notice of updates to your credit report. Typically those come to you in an email and it'll say, here's notice that you opened a new account, or your credit score decreased, or alternatively, in a good scenario, your credit score increased. So if you get one of those emails from a credit monitoring service and it says that your credit score decreased and you didn't use it, that's potentially a red flag. Or if you get notice that you opened a new account and you're not actively seeking credit, that's another red flag that there might be something going on. So by being proactive, what you can do is close out the fraud as quickly as possible and not allow the fraudster to open up 10 accounts in your name. Because at that point, it's a bigger problem that can be dealt with. It just takes longer and you have to sue more entities in order to get it resolved. To monitor your credit for signs of fraud, I'd recommend signing up with any sort of credit monitoring system. Personally, I sign up directly with the credit bureaus, either Equifax, Experian, TransUnion, or all three of them. And what you should be looking for in terms of monitoring your credit is usually in terms of fraud, it would be a decrease in your credit score. So if your credit score decreases by maybe 5 to 10 points, that could be because a fraudster submitted an inquiry to a credit guarantor, like your credit card company or a bank, trying to get an account in your name. So that initial request results in an inquiry and a small decrease to your credit. If the account actually opens and goes negative, that's going to have a larger decrease in your credit, maybe 50 or 100 points. And what that will tell you is that not only did the fraudster obtain an account in your name, but they're also not paying on it. So what you should do in that scenario is go through the dispute process and contact Loker law so that you can get that negative fraudulent credit off of your credit report immediately and move on from that fact. Two-factor authentication sounds like a very nice thing. Unfortunately, it's not as secure as you might think. When the bank is receiving a request from someone who has two-factor authentication, what the bank would do is they'll send a one-time passcode to the number they have on file. Unfortunately, the number that they have on file might have been changed by the fraudster. So instead of going to their consumer, it's going directly to the fraudster, who then is speaking with the bank and says, here's the passcode. And at that point, the bank believes that they're speaking to the customer, even though they should know that the fraudster changed your number. Alternatively, what could happen is, let's say the bank actually sends the one-time passcode to the consumer. The fraudster could be in your phone, or they could be in your email where the one-time passcode is being sent. So it's very easy for them to be there without you knowing and get that information and use it to continue to perpetuate the fraud and take all your money or open accounts in your name. So this two-factor authentication started out as a nice idea, but it's very susceptible to hacking in its own way. Freezing your credit is a must as far as protection, because what happens when you have a credit freeze on your credit report is that if someone's trying to open an account in your name, and it could be yourself or it could be the fraudster trying to do so, the freeze will require that the credit guarantor call you at your number that's registered with the credit bureaus and ask, are you trying to open this account? And if the answer is no, the credit guarantor will immediately stop that application so it doesn't go through. But if it is you and you receive the call, they can easily tell them, yes, this is me. So I'd recommend doing freezes for yourself. I would also recommend doing freezes for any minor children. Fraudsters these days are targeting minors because it's a fraud that can go undetected for years or a decade or more, depending upon how long it is between the minor who is under 18 and can't open credit until they actually become an adult and want to utilize their credit. That type of fraud is going undetected, and from the bank's perspective is a little harder to detect because they have this account that's been open for years and years, and then someone comes along and finally says it's fraud. Those may become difficult to unravel, but through litigation we can get it done. It's best to avoid it, though, by putting a freeze on your own account and freeze the accounts for your children as well. Protection tips that every consumer should follow, for one, would be to be proactive. Monitor your accounts, monitor your credit through credit monitoring services, and put freezes on your credits for yourself as well as any children that are in your life.